Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today we are going to be playing 4-color Loam, and the deck design here is by Connor Fulse, aka Loamer Boy, who is responsible for a lot of the updates and ideas that go into 4-color Loam as an archetype. And the reason we're specifically playing this today is because Currency Converter recently was put on Magic Online. I actually got this donation a little while ago and had to wait until this card became available. So whenever you discard a card, you may exile that card from your graveyard. You can pay 2 to draw a card, then discard a card. And you can tap this thing to put a card exiled with Currency Converter into your graveyard. The land card, you get a treasure token, and if it's a non-land card, you get to create a 2/2 black rogue creature token. So one of the problems with 4-color Loam is sometimes you reach this stage of the game where you have a life from the Loam, but you're not really quite winning the game with it. You're grinding some advantage with it, but it's not finishing the opponent. And in those situations where you can just like draw a card, discard one of the 3 cards that you got with life from the Loam, and turn that into actual creatures, that starts to sound pretty cool. And returning these things to your graveyard is neat because like then you can bring them back with life from the loam later, right? So I'm not going to say that this is a central card that the deck is built around because I feel that's inaccurate. It's a one of in a Yorion deck list, but this is a card that may give us a little bit of extra wiggle room and breathing room. We do have just one Urza's Saga to find it. This is not a dedicated Urza Saga deck. This is a deck that happens to have an Urza Saga in it because it fits in with the Life from the Loam plan, and we can crop rotation for it sometimes. As far as the rest of the deck goes, there are a lot of magic cards in this deck. Connor often designs decks that he really gets at an intuitive level. And when someone else picks it up for the first time, the deck list is going to look weird, right? So, like, there's a lot of singletons in this deck list, many of which I assume are very carefully calculated and are in here to solve specific cards in specific matchups. We're also an 81 card special deck because why stop at 80 once you're at Yorion? I like there's so many cards here that I can't highlight them all. I want to highlight a couple of things in particular. Number one is Void Rend, which is a card that doesn't normally see Legacy play. It's uncounterable and it destroys target non-land permanent at instant speed. And this is the sort of card that in other versions, in other versions of this deck might be like an Assassin's Trophy. This is kind of your catch-all answer. And one of my big questions is going to be like, does the mana base actually support the cards in this deck list? There are a relatively large number of colorless lands in the deck list. Like we've got Wastelands, we've got Urza Saga, we've even got some like value singletons like Blast Zone. I think Mox Diamond is doing some heavy lifting in making the mana base work for this deck. And there's a decent amount more blue in this deck list than there normally is in a 4-color Loam deck list. So we'll kind of see how that plays out, especially with the cards like Jace, Uro, and Narset that have double blue pips in them in some portion of the card. Now that said, the Yavimaya makes the green pips significantly easier, so like that is a thing. The upside of playing a deck with a bit of a greedy mana base like this one is that you get a absolutely huge range of flexible answers, and this deck has a lot of different planeswalkers that can do really cool things. We have a handful of tutor effects like Green Sun, Elvish Reclaimer, and Crop Rotation to kind of give us some degree of stability. I'm a little nervous here in some regards. Like, I think a couple of these land choices are a little greedy. So like I get wanting this in the deck for the Merit Lodge utility, but I don't know how often we're gonna like put together Merit Lodge and then protect it. But we'll see how it plays out. As far as the sideboard goes here, Like number one, we're a Yorion deck, and number two, like we've got some fat in the sideboard. Just in case all the main deck planeswalkers weren't enough, we also have Garruk Primal Hunter, and then a decent amount of the rest of the sideboard is common legacy effects. Electro Oof in particular is really good when we Green Sun for it. Yeah, I think at this point, I just need to experience this deck. I like a lot of things that are going on here. Like, if you look at the average card quality in this deck, it's pretty high. And let's see if the mana base holds up. If you're new here, please consider subscribing if you want to see more sweet legacy and nonsense. And if you're a regular, please throw me a like before this video begins. It's the easiest way to support my content for free. Let's battle. All right, we are playing a Yorion Mirror of some kind in round one, and I just don't have functional mana here. No. This is so close to working. This only does its thing if it's lands. I think I need to go to 5. With one more land, I think this hand is very good. But, like, this is essentially a single mana source land where a, like, Skyclave Apparition or Prismatic Ending just obliterates my mana base. Yikes. Just yikes. On 5, I guess I'm keeping this. I have 2 white cards that are uncastable. I can use Crop Rotation to try to find something else, like a white mana source. I think I'm just going to keep this for the mid game and see where we go. Like, hopefully I draw a white source by the time this is relevant. I think I'm just going to be eaten alive by Mana Denial here. There's a Ramunap. Like, I have to play the game of, like, which one of these lands is the one that I care about the least. Let's yield to this. Yeah, I just think I have no chance in this game already. Like, my opponent hasn't really played cards yet, but... Ooh, Vista. Are you a splash build of some kind? That's interesting. I want to play out my Yavimaya in hopes of playing Knight of the Reliquary next turn, I think. Possible I'm supposed to just, like, Maze of Ith and try to keep this Spirit of the Labyrinth at bay. Is fine. It makes my Kaya noticeably worse. Yeah. That also makes my Maze noticeably worse. Alright. So... Life's bad. Yeah, that's fine. That's essentially tapping a tropical island. Yes, with Yavimaya in play, Maze of Ith produces mana. But my mana is just super awkward here. If I would have kept the Swords to Plowshares, I still wouldn't have the ability to use it. Yeah, we're gonna have to worry about Magus of the Moon in this matchup, which I don't think you need me to tell you is going to be a disaster if it hits play. I think we have 1 forest and a couple of Mox Diamonds to help out with that. Now, a little tricky which land my opponent is supposed to port down, because, like, I haven't, like, clearly revealed what deck I am. That's fine. Nowhere near threshold for this. I did not actually want to play that land. Wanted to zoom in on that, but not a misplay that matters because I can just tap this for green like so. Okay, good. No, like, Recruiter of the Guard nonsense. I would have been very, very bad against it. Speaking of very, very bad against it. Oh no, opponent just has something cooler to do. Yeah, Solitude is legit. I got my Ramunap Excavator, I get hit for 3. Yeah, my opponent has just so much stuff on board here. This gives me access to white mana. Kaya's not really good. My Knight's not exactly great either. A white producing land. Yes, Tundra in respect of Uro. This is just a 3/3 right now. That doesn't accomplish a lot. I think I'm going to actually spend a turn getting rid of this Ether Vial. Then my opponent has to choose between continuing to port me and playing more threats. And my opponent can just pre-combat tap down my Maze of Ith, get in for 3 damage while killing Kaya. Here's the board activation, and then I'll take some hits. I feel woefully behind here, but like 4-color Loam is a deck that like you often can't really concede with because like it has a way of doing bullshit that somehow brings itself back from the brink. Yeah. Not playing Knight of the Reliquary here. I think I need to get this other white source into play. And then I'll throw a Yorion to hand. And we'll see if my opponent can do anything else gross to me. They don't really need to. I think just attacking twice with these creatures is fine. Yikes. At this point, I feel comfortable conceding. Like, being double ported off my cards here is just disgusting. Alright. Plague Engineer seems good. Collector Oof is reasonable. Force Seeds of Innocence and Garruk are potentially playable if I have a bunch of things I don't want. Also, just like, by the way, playing a Yorion decklist with this many singletons makes sideboarding extremely difficult. So, just like throwing that out there. If you ask me in the comments, why didn't you sideboard in or out X card? Like, the answer is I probably didn't think of it. So most of my cards are actually pretty reasonable in this matchup. Because, like, we just have a lot of mid-rangey bullshit. Narset isn't particularly great. I will probably cut her. I can preemptively cut Savine's Reclamation if I expect my opponent to be bringing in Rest in Peace. Which they might. Gets me 2 of these 3 cards. I might not play Collector Oof since I'm so reliant on Mox Diamond in this matchup. Actually, that makes this kind of rough, too. I probably only bring this in very dedicated artifact matchups. Do I want a Garruk Primal Hunter? Actually, green is probably hard if I get Wastelanded. Let's run this back as is and hope to have a more functional hand in terms of mana. Speaking of functional hands, nope. Hand doesn't do anything. Like, I can't use the Boseiju as a spell. They don't have other green mana. 2 of my lands enter tapped. Thespian Stage isn't good here without the other half. Like, am I keeping this and trying to go for Elvish Reclaimer into Dark Depths and hope that that works? It's really awkward in terms of my curve and falls apart to any sort of creature-based interaction, or probably land-based interaction as well. I don't think this is good enough. I'm a mulligan again. In Bob we trust. I think in Bob we trust. A Source of Plowshares or Solitude absolutely fucks me here. Endurance is going back here. The second card is harder. It cannot be one of these 4, and then it's like, do I want to replay lands from the graveyard, or do I want to have Uro because it's Uro? I think I want to replay lands from graveyard. I am also going to put this fetch land in graveyard to make some of my future cards better. Mana, Mox Diamond, discard Underground Sea. In Bob we trust. Please don't Source of Plowshares me. Do it. Love that basic plains, by the way. Fuck. Land? Okay. At least I have a creature in play. And I can continue to hit land drops to mitigate the power of Wasteland et al. But I am really in trouble if my opponent just jams a Stoneforge Mystic here. How do the Yorion decks always have it? Oh, that got Batterskull, which is weird to me. I think they have Kaldra in hand. And I whiffed on my land drop. Or sorry, I whiffed on a relevant spell. I guess I'll just play that out. Crash in for 2. And drop my opponent to 17. Alright, there's another land drop. See what my opponent has. Oh, we're just passing the turn here? Okay, maybe I'm wrong about Kaldra. Oh, it's Lion Sash. Yeah. Yep. So that's gone. I am unsure what I am doing with the Swords to Plowshares. I think I'm just going to pass the turn. It allows my opponent to cheat a Batterskull into play if I do. Actually, maybe I just get rid of the Stoneforge now. Like, I got the read that Kaldra was in their hand, because searching up Batterskull is weird. And if I let that Kaldra slip into play, I can junk the germ, or I can just, like, stop this, and then it doesn't let my opponent cheat on mana in a different direction. Yeah, I'm gonna go with my gut here and assume that Cauldra is still in my opponent's hand. Might be wrong. Magus? Magus. Lion Sash is going to be very good, but I think I have to hope to draw an answer to it. Oh no. There's the Plowshares as well. Oh no, sorry. Lion Sash activation before attack. Sure. Oh, just going to use that to play defense. That's fine. As long as I control this Bob, I've got a real chance at just like drawing something that answers the Lion Sash and then playing a reasonable game of Magic. But Lion Sash can hit really hard here. I might take an almost immediate block with Ramunap Excavator to protect my life total, because I just take 5 here. But I think I'm going to force my opponent to funnel the mana into it and then block with it next turn. So my opponent here is going to eat both of their fetch lands and deal me 5, unless they have something else more pointed to do with their mana. Which they do. There's a Spirit of the Labyrinth, and they are holding up 2. Could be something like a Containment Priest. That is a currency converter. Okay. We can work with that. I'll absolutely play that, and that threatens to make combat kind of weird for my opponent. I don't think I loot with this immediately. I'm going to hold these creatures back defensively. Opponent may have just also been holding up a Lion Sash activation for the sake of safety. That's reasonable as well. Okay. I probably need to take out this body. Maybe I do loot away this Mox Diamond. I don't know. It's really good at helping me play the cards I'm going to get off of Bob. I guess this is a 2-turn cycle. Make that decision. Let's throw a Ramunap in front of Spirit here. And take 5 damage from Lion Sash. All fine. Yeah, I do need to loot this away. Another Spirit. Oh fuck, I should have responded to that. I don't know. Like, I'm very unsure about this Mox Diamond situation. Alright. There we go, Bob. Bob finds land and another Bob. Alright. Get this into play. Hey! That's a combo. Oh, fuck. Lion Sash fucks this up. Okay. Life's pretty bad. Yeah, let's Bob. I think I underestimated how good that Lion Sash was going to be against me. But, like, if Cauldra is one of the... Like, if my opponent's hand is Cauldra Batterskull, then removing that Stoneforge was a very good choice. And, like, this Batterskull isn't coming into play because my opponent is holding up Lion Sash mana. I don't know. I might just be dead here. Yeah, sure. Take 8 from this if I don't block it. I think I need to chump and then try to use a Bob to gain some traction. Ugh. Yeah, I do not want to fucking play against Death and Taxes with this deck list. I think my mana is sketched to start with, and when you supplement that with cards like these, just don't think I get there. So this can get me a mountain, so that's cool. I'm gonna go ahead and concede here. This is not happening. All right, so like I don't want to build a narrative around this entire league being like the deck has bad mana, but we're gonna mulligan. Uh, uh, Eep, I guess. We may have to do a very, very sad crop rotation, depending on what my draws look like. Yikes. Burn? Storm? Ruby Storm? Red Prison? What are we doing? Ruby Storm. So we are playing against a mono-red Storm deck. Wasteland isn't doing me a lot of good. I'm going to play Windswept Heath this turn in hopes of drawing a land that just lets me naturally play out Baleful Strix. But my hand does borderline nothing versus a combo deck. I can technically crop rotation for Bojuka Bog if my opponent starts trying to use their graveyard as a resource. But I don't think you need me to tell you what that would do to my mana. So this is a deck that can go off very quickly. Whether or not it does is an entirely different story. Getting a Rite of Flame and another Burning Wish. Seems like opponent is just going to try to set up for next turn. Also, do I have a Tabernacle? No Tabernacle. Cast in Flames. Okay. Okay. Savannah Underground Sea, I guess. Alright. Here we go. Fetch. Really, that combination doesn't cast Night of the Reliquary. Tundra Bayou? Tundra Bayou works instead. Oh, maybe I'm supposed to hold up boot. Fuck, I think I fucked up. I was probably supposed to hold up the crop rotation. Yeah, I was probably supposed to hold up the crop rotation since my opponent got past in flames. Not pictured is my opponent leaving for a little while and me getting distracted. Probably a Burgie. Oh, what is this? There's an additional cost to cast this. Discard a card. Draw 2 cards. Create 2 treasure tokens. That is a card I've never seen before. Is this new? I don't even know what the set symbols mean anymore. There's so many products being released. In good news, I have a Wasteland available for this as of next turn. Okay. It is bonus round time. Whenever whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, the player copies it and may choose new targets for the copy. So my opponent discarded their Past in Flames. I know they have a Rite of Flame, which they are going to get to copy. Yep. So that brings them up to 7 mana. There's the Past in Flames. Okay. So this copies the bonus rounds, which is going to get a little silly in terms of how much mana, like Rite of Flame and Metamorphose and such, produce. But my opponent is not going to have all that many cards, and like the bonus round deck isn't super deterministic. It often fizzles. So both, or rather, all 3 of those resolving my opponent's up to 8 mana. They have a decent number of cards, but pretty close to empty in terms of resources. JK. All right. So Jessica's Will has 2 sides. I look at the front side of this. Yeah. Or not front side, the other side, the other effect of it. So you can either use this to add a bunch of mana, or you can use it to look at a bunch of cards, which you can then cast. Opponent doesn't have a deterministic win yet, although things aren't great for me. All right, here's a bunch of Manamorphose. And with all of those resolved, my opponent is up to 24 mana. Like, mana is not a bottleneck anymore. So once my opponent finds a Burning Wish or equivalent, I will die. They do still have to do that. Yeah. Burning Wish gets a Grape Shot, or sure, a Banefire, so it can't be countered. I respect the flex. Where is that card? Yeah, for those of you don't know this one, this is pretty sick. When X is 5 or more, it's uncounterable and the damage can't be prevented. So I'm going to go ahead and concede here. My opponent's got plenty of damage. All right. Flusterstorm and Meddling Mage are very good. Leyline is playable. Electro Oof is playable. Force of Vigor is playable. I don't know. Seeds of Innocence might be, but it's awkward. This isn't really a Maze of Ith matchup. I can probably board that out without really thinking about it. I don't think this matchup is slow enough where Currency Converter matters. Sylvan Safekeeper is okay at protecting a Meddling Mage. Really a Savine's Reclamation matchup. I can probably cut the Sudden Edicts if I keep some number of Swords to Plowshares. Like, there's some things like Burgie that I might need to worry about. Let's see where this is getting me in terms of resources. That gets me these 4. Actually, that gets me 1, like, Leyline or Force of Vigor as well. And then it's a question of, like, do I want Leylines and Collector Oofs? Running off Past in Flames definitely matters. Uro's slow. Maybe I don't need Uro. I think I'm going to keep all the Swords to Plowshares. I can probably cut some random top-end jank. Need 2 more cuts here. Maybe I cut a random Baleful Strix for being hard to cast. And Grist doesn't necessarily seem like it's the best. Something approximating this. This hand has a crop rotation for a Bojuka Bog, otherwise doesn't really have enough going for it. I just go like land into Dryad Arbor, but then like Ramunap Excavator is the thing I'm ramping into. I don't think I like this. I like this better, but my mana is god awful. Guess we're pitching Baleful Strix. Just like uncastable. Alright. There's a ley line. I don't think this is a spell in this matchup. I am just going to play out an Elvish Reclaimer. The Force of Vigor is awkward for me. Because, like, if I want to have anything on board that pressures my opponent or progresses my game plan or fixes my mana, I have to play this out. Then I don't have a green card to pitch to Force of Vigor. Metal is fine. They're just passing the turn. This version doesn't have Chalice of the Voids, but that's probably what my opponent is playing around there. So I think I'm going to Windswept Heath and pass the turn. I think grinding my lands into other lands matters more than 1 point of damage right now. I need to just turn this into a 3/4 so it can start attacking. Like, attacking more profitably, I should say. And maybe end up getting, like, Tundra Bayou or something like that. No. Grab Tundra. Activate my Reclaimer. Sacrificing this. Bayou's in my hand. Mana? Sure. The Dark Depths. Alright. Let's play this hand. Or sorry, let's play this land out. Pass the turn. I've got the graveyard covered, but I'm really not doing anything else here. Okay, that's fine. I guess last turn I could have gotten like Yava Maya specifically so that if I drew Dark Depths, I could work towards doing something that turn. It's a very niche one of line to play towards, though. Alright, are you just gonna pop that immediately? This is a Burgy. Why we've left in Swords to Plowshares. My opponent goes for a Burgy-based Stormkill. My Leyline and my Force of Vigor both do nothing. Okay. There are worlds where they can go off here. It's 2 mana. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So, Cast in Flames is off, but I basically have no other interaction with my opponent. Don't have a land-based removal spell that kind of gets everything going here. Okay, cool. Let's activate the Elvish Reclaimer, sack this land. I think I'm just going for Thespian Stage and making my opponent kill me next turn, but I'm going to take a quick look at everything. Wasteland is sort of interesting. Not quite to Otawara mana. I can just grab Wasteland and hope that I can interact with my opponent and then just slow everything else down by a turn or two. Or I can just say, kill me next turn or you die. I think I'm going to go for the Wasteland. I don't know if that's correct. Yuck. So let's take that out. I'm not going to go for chip damage attacks. I am just going to go for a Merit Lodge kill. But I think Wastelanding potentially sticks my opponent with more cards in hand. Like they just like play an Ancient Tomb and then go off like it is what it is. Okay. Playing that as a land. And they are shocking. We'll see if they can go off. They can go off, then like my plan of Merit Lodging wouldn't have been fast enough anyway. My opponent has shocked, which is interesting. Yeah, your Burning Wish happens. It's just gonna like grab a Rite of Flame and set up for next turn. Grabbing and empty the Warrens. I can Wasteland my opponent again, but I think getting Thespian Stage and attempting to go for the kill is probably better. Meddling Mage is a really weird draw, though, in terms of mana, because, like, if I want to draw, like, if I want to keep Meddling Mage as a hit, I keep these 2 lands, but that takes me off of black mana. I'm going to ignore that as that 2-of as a draw and get rid of Savannah so that I still have all of my colors. But, like, let the record show that ahead of time I am aware of the punish. There's my stage. There is a Void Rend that unfortunately I cannot cast because I have 2 colorless lands. Yeah. I'm not going to take an attack here in case the 3 damage from Burgy is relevant. And despite having 4 lands, I can't cast Force of Vigor. Like, I have 3 cards in hand, none of them are castable. Oh. Actual, factual miracle. Reforge the Soul. And the Burgy mana does not empty. So sort of interestingly, this will give me a new hand, which can draw me into things like Swords to Plowshares or not. Okay, there's an Ancient Tomb. All right, it begins. The opponent's Empty the Warrens is not good enough. It is going to have to be something that actually kills me. And I'm not really expecting them to be able to answer a Merit Lodge, so there's that. Ooh, this is scary. So this lets my opponent discard a card, exile the top 2 cards of their library, and they can play them this turn. So let's see how they hit. A Jeska's Will. That can be 7 mana, really 8 because of Burgy, or it can be 3 cards. Yeah, they are going for the mana. So they have Empty the Warrens in hand plus 1 unknown card. Actually, did they discard? No, they did not discard. Or was that this? All right, let's see. The Ruby Medallion, which they're going to cast. All right. So this is my opponent going all in. They are going all in on the next 2 cards of their library. Well, they hit. They are still all in on this Reckless Impulse, but now they are all in on a double Reckless Impulse instead. Oh, that stuff doesn't do anything. See, this is the moment. Okay, they get Manamorphose. And that is a huge hit because Manamorphose draws cards. And drawing cards means you get more looks for Hornfell. Right, I'm going to always yield to the bonus round. I'm going to always yield to the Burgy. Now, there is a world where I have to unyield if my opponent does a draw 7. But if they hit off the Manamorphose, they should, just like mathematically. Like, drawing 2 cards and like each one of those 2 cards being 2 more looks because of Hornfell means like they're so likely to continue from here. I will lose to a Burning Wish at any point. Another Pirate's Pillage. Looks good. I now expect that I am dead. Like, again, it's still not deterministic, but Needle has tilted very, very, very far in favor of my opponent. Another bonus round, yeah. See what this half hits. Multiple Ruby Medallions. Yeah, there's a Burning Wish. I'm not gonna make my opponent click through the tail end of this. Like, Burning Wish just kills me. GG's. Okay. So I have a hand with only green mana. It has a Sylvan Library and a currency converter. Like, is that a keep? Versus someone who, like, very likely is playing a Delver deck where, like, I can't cast this Sudden Edict, and Wasteland is awful, and Lightning Bolt is awful? I think the answer is no. Okay. Keep this Pitch Endurance, and my mana's pretty bad. Hopefully Bob can get me out of this. We are indeed playing against Delver. It's not castable. I can only kind of play around Wasteland, or sorry, I can only kind of play around Daze this game. I think I'm willing to take a hit from the Delver to try and do that. There's a chance that I have to just fire it off anyway. Like, I'd rather the Swords to Plowshares go at a Dragon Rage Channeler or a Murktide Regent, but I might not have that luxury. Take my 1 here, go to 19. Okay. I'm gonna try to play around Daze here. But, like, I get to play around Daze this turn, and then I don't get to play around Daze next turn. Your end of turn Brainstorm is fine. Going to wait till my opponent's turn to play around Force of Negation with this Swords to Plowshares. I'll get to see what the Delvers flip to. I think I'm going to instantly die to a Wasteland. Alright, so now that I know the Delvers are flipping, I'm going to target the one that has not flipped yet, so that I only give my opponent 1 life off of that. So Expressive Iteration is going to happen here, and here's to hoping that my opponent doesn't find a Wasteland. The Misty, that's fine. But I'm just, like, very worried about just doing nothing this game. 3, I'm down to 16. Yeah, here's a Dazable Bob. I can't play around it here, and I think I have to just play a card, and I have to play this land drop. I can't, like, save this for another turn for when Dragon Rage Channeler has just kind of, like, gone and done its thing. Build a bunch of cards. Alright. That's horrifying. Yeah, that is going at Bob. Alright, goodbye, Bob. I am taking 4 damage here. And then it's very likely that I just take 9 next turn. I probably need to play the Source of Plowshares around Days. And I probably also need to play Bob. Honestly, in hopes that my opponent uses a removal spell on it. And I think I am going to target a Dragon Rage Channeler. I think those things are 3/3s next turn. And I would rather remove one of those because they fuel for future Murktide Regents, and Murktide is currently basically unbeatable. There's also a world where I die to my own Bob, because it just, like, chills. There's 3 of the 4 card types in graveyard, so something like a land, and finish it off. Yeah, I am going to concede here. I'm not beating 6 damage in the air like that. That's just not happening. Alright, guess I'm playing Leylines. Plague Engineer's okay. I don't really like crop rotations versus counterspell decks. I tend to cut those. Bobs are a little risky, but, like, maybe one of the things that's holding this deck together. Knight of Autumn's not necessary. So many of these cards are, like, in theory good, but possible to cast. I think I'm going to get rid of my Safekeeper. Some scenarios where it's good, but sacrificing a land just sounds so scary in this matchup. So I have 2 more cuts to make if I want Plague Engineers more than something else that is in here. Maybe over libraries. Can't really pay life in this matchup. The filtering is nice. I just don't think I can ever pay life unless I have, like, an Uro in play. And if I have an Uro in play, like, things have already gone well. Okay, I will keep this hand. It actually has respectable mana. And then what do I do with the Green Sun, I guess, is the question. A Green Sun, junk a land, play a non-wastelandable thing. And I think I'm just going to go for a Green Sun for 1 here. And grab Elvish Reclaimer. Like, I can save that Green Sun for a little bit later in the game. But I don't know. My opponent playing Ponder here is actually kind of annoying. That's interesting. Want to attack with a 2/2 lifelinker? Not really. So I think I'll play this. Play out the Shadow Spear and then hold up an Elvish Reclaimer activation. Use it to turn Underground Sea or Forest into a fetch land. And then have a larger Elvish Reclaimer that I can equip with Shadow Spear. We'll see. I kind of expect Elvish Reclaimer to bite the dust in this turn cycle. That is a Wasteland. So I can hold up my mana forever and not get Wastelanded, or I can just, like, lean into it. And accordingly, I think I am just going to lean into it here. Sacrifice the Underground Sea. Grab a fetch land. I think my opponent just Wastelands it right here. No. Ooh. That kind of changes my plan. Although it just kind of feels like opponent has counterspells. Go ahead and fetch. Grab some white source. And let's just start trying to get in there with an Elvish Reclaimer. It can be a little awkward if my opponent, like, has a Brazen Borrower. Get a really good bounce here. Not what happened. So I've got a creature that's hard to kill, and I have 2 removal spells. They won't be good against Murktide Regent, but hopefully Murktide's covered. Like, I can also, like, crop rotate into Bojuka Bog if I need to at some point. I love mana that is not being used on progressing their board or getting rid of my board here. Yeah, there's a Delta. Or the red mana. Ooh. Absolutely. That makes some of my cards a little more awkward. An opponent's pretty likely to have a counter spell. Lightning Bolt also becomes live again. I think I'm going to have to try to answer this card 2 turns in a row. 2 confirming, yes. Alright, so let's attempt it. Oh, nice, it worked. I'll attack with my 2/3. My 2/3 is somewhat likely to just get eaten by a red removal spell now. Yeah, there's an expressive iteration. There's a lightning bolt. Yeah, so it costs my opponent a little life, but they get to very much neuter my board here, and then they get to wasteland this Tundra, and then I have to play a Bob into a Daze, which I don't really want to do. Yep. Okay. Okay, cool. Now I don't have to play Bob into Daze. All right, little buddy, get in there. So, like, opponent must have a bunch of reactive cards, like, because I have not played a threat this game. So, like, I would not be surprised to see something like Murktide Regent plus Lightning Bolt this turn, and then they counter the next thing that I do. I guess. Oh, nope. Sure. There's a very good expressive iteration. Dumping the 4th card type into the graveyard. Not going to be very good at multi-spelling. Okay, that was a Scalding Tarn from Exile. Mute the mic for a second to cough there. And there goes Bob. Absolutely terrified of a Murktide Regent. Alright. So, let's attempt ending here. And I have to wait to play Bob till next turn, which means it'll just put Yorion to hand right now. Okay, opponent's still hitting land drops. Okay, now it's Murktide time. And there it is. Only as a 3/3, notably. Oh, god damn it. Fuck you, Bob. Fuck you, Bob. So in case you're not familiar with that interaction, Murktide Regent has a lot of words on it. Whenever an instant or sorcery leaves your graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So, yeah, that's a thing that just occurred. Yep. Yep. I need to try to draw things that answer Murktide Regent. Otherwise, I can play Plague Engineer on Dragon and pretend like that is going to do something relevant. Yeah, this is just gross. Speaking of gross. Alright, cool. Yeah, Mystic Sanctuary causes the expressive iteration to leave the graveyard, which triggers Murktide Regent. So, yeah. Another Misty Rainforest that they get for free. A Brainstorm first. There's a world where my opponent, like, can play another Murktide Regent this turn, right? But with fetch land plus another cantrip. Yeah. Alright. Take a casual 18. NBD. Okay, a petty theft, sure. And I will concede. Yeah, we are just like not getting to do our thing. Okay. Round 4. I don't really think my hand is good, but I have 2 plans that can get all of my colors. Does that mean that this is a keep? Honestly, probably. Like, I have a turn 2 Sudden Edict. Yeah, Chalice is whatever. That's fine. Opponent said good luck, have fun, so, you know, it's like 50-50 if they were a Chalice deck. I'm gonna go ahead and wasteland their Ancient Tomb and hope that hurts them more than it hurts me. If I can get to 3 mana for Ramunap, it's very good. Ah, fuck. Didn't want them to be this Chalice deck. Because, like, basic Forest is a thing that I have to fetch if they Blood Moon me. And if they do that, like, a very large number of my cards become uncastable. Damn it. Okay, it's a Rabble Master. Cool. Yeah. Alright. Take 1. Man, the Sudden Edict got bad. Like, I don't even know if I cast it. Like, it literally just kills a 1/1. That's not great. Fuck. Now I cast it. Okay. Am I playing around Blood Moon, or am I just fucked if Blood Moon happens? I think I'm just fucked if Blood Moon happens. Like, I need, like, green and white. I need, like, Savannah Bayou. Yeah. Alright, there's Savannah. There's Bayou. I'll Edict my opponent, and if they floop a Magus of the Moon into play off Fireflux Squad, like, so be it. But I think if I get Forest here, I take myself off of at least one of my important tools. So, let's see how bad this is. All right, Fireflux Squad changes it into a Legion War Boss. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna concede. Like, I can try to continue to play Magic for another turn, but like my opponent is ahead enough where I am not going to come back from this, and I'd rather not. Like if I play the Mox Diamond, they like just know what deck I am for sure. Yeah. We're basically not gonna sideboard, I think. We'll play Plague Engineers and I guess Force of Vigor. Garrick Primal Hunter is cool, but like very hard on the mana. Safekeeper probably goes out. My one drops just get worse because of Chalice, which my opponent presumably is going to leave in. That kind of makes me want to junk crop rotations. Sylvan Library is really rough. My life total is pressured so hard I can't play those. So like that gets me these. And if I want another card, I can play Garrick Primal Hunter because making like repeated 3/3 blockers is nice. Maybe one crop rotation down is reasonable. It also could be like the Narset. I don't see Narset as being particularly great here. Oh wait, we're a 61 card special. Yeah, there we go. All right, 81 card special. Okay. Uh, uh, Keep? Like, I don't have enough mana here. I have 2 mana producing lands. I really need to play, like, Baleful Strix into Endurance into Scavenging Ooze, and then, like, the Scavenging Ooze can't just, like, use a bunch of mana and eat. I don't know that this is keepable. It like, potentially has to just use Crop Rotation as color fixing, and I can't get a basic land with this hand. I think on a mulligan. Has a Life from the Loam, and a couple of removal spells. I will keep this. And I think I need to keep Void Rend for Planeswalkers. And I don't think I'm going to have time to activate Currency Converter. So let's play this out and see where it goes. My opponent playing a creature on turn 1 would be very awkward for me. Don't do it. Like, a goblin that immediately protects from Sudden Edict is just so annoying for me. Yeah. Alright. I will eat my attack for 1. And now, again, I'm in this situation where, like, if I play around a Blood Moon, this Void Rend becomes uncastable. I think I need the Void Rend to be castable, because I'm going to use that to answer Legion Warboss. Alright. I'm going to get Savannah with one of these. I'm going to get Bayou with another one of these. I'm going to Prismatic Ending away that Chrome Mox in hopes of sticking my opponent on mana. And then I'm going to accelerate into a Dryad Arbor to kind of hope that I can do Life from the Loam plus something else relevant, or otherwise scale into my late game cards. But I'm just going to lose the game on the spot to a Blood Moon. I mean, that's also very good. Plague Engineer would be cool. So much damage. Yeah. Alright. No blocks. Hope something cool happens. I think if I miss on a draw, I'm just dead. That's not great. That's not great. I can go ahead and return 2 lands, play this, fetch a blue land, grab Tundra, play a Strix, not want to dredge Life from the Loam, pass the turn. I haven't done the math for how much damage I'm taking yet, so this is 2 more Goblin tokens. I have to block the Rabblemaster if Rabblemat concede. Okay. I believe this is an 0-4 drop league where we did not win a single game of Magic. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Not playable. Beyond greedy. So let's like break this down in terms of numbers here. Okay. In this deck list, there are 18 lands that are either colorless or only produce one of the colors of 19 lands which are either colorless or only produce one color of mana. And 2 of these lands don't even produce mana under normal circumstances. This deck is a deck that is supposed to be held together by Mox Diamond, but it is a Yorion deck list, so you are less likely to draw the Mox Diamond. And without the Mox Diamond, I just don't think the mana base of this deck list is anywhere near playable. I didn't play Magic this league. Like, I have all these big, dumb, cool cards, and I just, like, did not get to cast them, either because I died or because I stumbled over my mana base and they were stuck in my hand. I don't mean this as a deck building insult, but this feels like one of the worst 4-color loam lists I've played, and I like 4-color loam and play a decent amount of it when I can. But like the mana just did not work in this deck list, and I think the cost of going up to an 80 card or an 81 card deck list was exceptionally high here. Like by no means did I play perfectly. Like I absolutely made mistakes and I called out a lot of them myself. But like I did not get to the point where I got to grind cards with Dark Confidant and activate Planeswalkers. Like I think I played a single Planeswalker in 4 rounds because like the rest of the time they just got like stuck in my hand, thrown back on mulligans or whatever. This was a bad league, and like bad leagues happen, but I just don't think the mana is reasonable here. Especially since like there's so many varied costs in the early turn, and like if you're in a situation where you need to get a basic to play around like a Wasteland or a Blood Moon or something, like it becomes much harder to cast cards like Baleful Strix, Wandering Emperor, Void Rend, and even just like your single pip green cards and single pip white cards. I just think there's too much tension in this mana base for this to be reasonable. Like, this is a deck that wants turn 1 green and white, turn 2 blue, black, and green, turn 3 blue, blue, or green, green, or blue, white, or you get the picture, right? So, like, I just don't think the mana base for this deck list works. And, like, because the mana base doesn't work, the deck doesn't work. Um, so I don't think currency converter is enough to hold something like this together. So I think this is a time where I'd scrap the whole deck list and start over in terms of deck building. Sorry, Connor. Most of the bit brews you have sent me have been winners. This one, not so much. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, click the like button on the way out. If you have any thoughts about the deck list, please go ahead and throw those in the comments. Have a great rest of the day. See ya.